Course of Miracles number 111, and Chuck Karstensen here again. So on the last one, I talked about having a practice to transforming your mind. And this message that I'm recording now to share out is after hearing a sermon in church. So it was interesting. My lesson for the day plus the sermon in church isn't it interesting when things connect? So my lesson for the guide for students was God is the strength in which I trust. And I think about this so often. If you're a church going person or a spiritual person or having a transforming practice based on spirituality, we think yet we're putting all our trust and faith in Jesus. And many times we can catch ourselves when we're not. We're doing it on our own strength. I am definitely one of those, like, I'm going to do it on my own strength guy, where I catch myself. I'm like, okay, I got to take a step back because it's not working if I'm just trying to do it on my own strength. And definitely goes much better if God is the strength in which I push my trust in. So one of the reasons to have a transforming habit is those things where we fall short on or forget about or go down the wrong path. And it's like you get these reminders because things happen in life that speak to you. It's not like the voice of God comes and speaks and Chuck, I am God and I am the strength in which I trust. It probably could happen, but it's more like you get the whispers, you get the message, you get your daily practice of whatever you're doing, whatever you're putting some time into that tells you and gives you a little hint. And maybe this is the way you should do it. So God is the strength in which I trust. And many times I find myself, like I said, wanting to do things my way. And then I need to take a step back. And sometimes, like, as I do this video, I'm going to be heading out of town. And I might have mentioned on one of my videos, probably in my real estate side of things, I'm not a big go on vacation type of guy. And it's like, God, that means other people, they gotta step up a little bit or whatever. And what if they don't? Or, so that's not trusting in probably not trusting in those people, but it's also probably not putting some trust in God. Like, hey, it's going to work out. I'm in the right place at the right time, wherever I am. And if I try to do it my way, could be some results that are good, but temporarily. But if I listen and follow and go on the right path, trusting in God's strength, it's going to work out. And I see it many, many times. Like even in real estate, for example, like, going out of town and like, okay, I want to get X amount of business done. Boy, somebody shows up, looks at a house, makes an offer, buys it. It's like, I wish that could happen every time. It doesn't always, but it does show up. And why I brought up the message in church, part of the message in church, like the message was more than enough. And it was talking about the time where Jesus has his disciples and they're out fishing and they couldn't catch a fish. And basically how the pastor explained it is like they couldn't catch a fish. Jesus is asking how they're doing. And basically it wasn't going well. They couldn't catch a fish and they're fishermen and they're disappointed. And Jesus said, well, why don't you go out to the deeper seas and cast your net on the other side? And they're like, okay, Jesus, you're good at your spiritual things, but okay, you're going to teach us fishermen and tell us how to fish? Like, it's not working and we know what we're doing, right? Much of our life, many parts of our life, or some parts of our life are not working, but we're trusting in our own strength, trusting in our own knowledge, trusting in our own wisdom, and it's not working, and we're just trying to force our way through it. You've ever been there? Probably are. Probably have been. And you just keep banging your head against the wall, doing the same things. And sometimes you're doing the things you don't want to do. It's just some weird habit you can't get out of. But that's an example of trusting in your own strength. God is the strength in which I trust. So these people had some experience with Jesus. They're like, okay, he knows about other stuff. Maybe I'll trust him in this. And this is kind of how the pastor explained it. And of course, they cast the net and caught so much fish that the nets were ripping and they couldn't fit them in the boats. And that's the difference with the life following Jesus than following our own way. The more than enough life, or which most people are experiencing now, to barely get by, the scarcity life. We want that more than enough life, but we only want to do it our way, right? No, there has to be a better way. Helen Schuckman started scribing the Course in Miracles because they had challenges in her teachers, and she taught at a college, and there are all these fighting about whatever. And they asked the question, there has to be a better way. And then the message that Jesus gave to her to put in the Course in Miracles started coming through to her because somebody asked the question, there has to be a better way. And through the course of history, churches have tried to teach that Jesus is the way. And then Jesus comes through in the Course in Miracles trying to teach like, well, these churches are, he doesn't say anything about churches really, but basically, here's what I meant to say, and here's how I would like you to tell people to do it a little bit better than is being taught in churches. And again, he's not saying that in the Course in Miracles, but basically, I'm trying to summarize it that the Course in Miracles is Jesus reminding me all the stuff we've been taught in church that we basically still do in our own strength. and then there's got to be a better way. And I thought, well, that's interesting that the message in church, the message in the Course in Miracles today was teaching about that. And I'm talking in a follow-up video about transforming your mind. And again, it's such simple steps that if you've ever gone to church, you've heard it before. But why do we keep not doing what Jesus would like us to do? That would help you, that would have a boat overflowing with fish instead of the meager, not going well, nothing's working out way of life that many people are experiencing. And one of the lessons is God is the strength in which I trust. You just have to step back and redirect what you trust in. And I'm working on it too. So this is one of my longer Course in Miracles. So anyway, thank you for listening. If you're one of the listeners and wanted to remind you that God is the strength in which I trust, would be a good way to do it.